Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Cocktails After Dark. Today we're going to do a cocktail out of this 1930 cocktail book, published here in Toronto, called Cocktails by Jimmy, late of Ceros in London. I never know how to take that. All of these cocktail guys are late of somewhere. Did they get fired? Were they not good enough? Did they go into publishing because they couldn't really be bartenders? Who knows? Today we're going to do a recipe called the Bijou. And the Bijou is a tale of two intertwined cocktails down through history. The one we're going to do today, from this 1930 cocktail book, you see over and over through the 1930s and the 1950s. And the first mention of this recipe goes back to 1900 in a Harry Johnson cocktail book. And it's essentially this recipe exactly, except it has orange bitters, and this one does not. So this recipe calls for Old Tom gin. And as you look through the Bijou recipes that follow this line, they're Old Tom gin, they're Plymouth gin, they're London Dry gin. None of them are Genever, but it's a mix of gin. It doesn't really matter which one you use, I don't think. So I'm going to use two different types of Old Tom gin today. This one is a local gin, made about 100 kilometers from us, and it's got this red tint from the sumac that they put in it. And sumac grows wild all over the place here. So I'm expecting kind of a little bit of a lemon flavor. And next is Chartreuse. And it's equal amounts of gin and Chartreuse, and also Italian vermouth. Now, variations on this recipe also have dry vermouth instead of the sweet Italian vermouth. So we'll get that in there. Now, the other competing Bijou recipe dates from 1895 and a cocktail book written by Lawler. And the recipe there is almost completely different. And so this competing Bijou recipe is gin, Italian vermouth, and Grand Marnier. And it shows up time and time again, and it's in this 1931 Waldorf Bar Days book that I have in front of me. It shows up in multiple places. There's also another recipe, and so this third recipe is called the Yellow Diamond. It shows up in this Art of Drinking book that I have here from 1931, and that is gin, yellow Chartreuse, and Italian vermouth. So similar, just a slightly different take on the flavor. And so you can see there's quite a few variations on how this might be made, and you can choose any one of them to suit your own palate. And so I guess what I'm saying is there really is no wrong way to make this cocktail. Choose one of the versions of the Bijou that you want to make, and then choose any gin that you want to use it with. Choose any Italian vermouth that you want to put in it. It really doesn't matter all that much. Choose what works for your palate. That's probably what's the most important, instead of some guy faffing around on the internet telling you the way it's supposed to be made. So, little piece of lemon peel, and this one gets a cherry. So, put a cherry in each one. So, the 1931, or a version of the 1931 Bijou cocktail.
I see two glasses, so...
Two different types of gin. Well, okay. The same type of gin, two different versions of the same type of gin.
Oh, yeah. Can sip.
Yeah. So that's that one.
Okay.
This one is the other Old Tom from England.
All right. That's a nice drink.
I like that. I do like that.
That's a nice drink.
So here we go. Try the different gin.
I think if you stirred a little bit of that maraschino around, it would even...
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
There's a slightly different flavor. They're both lovely. This one has... This one has a little more punch to it.
Yes.
This one's definitely a little sweeter.
Soft, and the gin flavor is softer. Like it's like this one punches you with I'm gin, and this one says I'm gin.
Okay.
It's kind of nice. And so this is one of those cocktails that you could spend a lifetime just never making it the same way twice, just by changing the brand of gin.
Yes.
Do you want to try some orange bitters? Because some of the recipes have orange bitters.
I'm not sure. Sure, let's say yes.
Okay, so
let's try it in one first. One dash of bitter?
let's do 2 dashes of bitters.
Okay.
Stir that in.
Now we'll get that cherry, that little maraschino flavor out a little bit more too. Ooh, I love those. Those are just...
Okay. Give it a go.
That changed it. It's still lovely, but now it's got that little bit of that, like that citrusy kind of flavor to it.
Yeah. It's added another twist to the whole thing.
Man, it's a very complicated
It is
set
very
of
complicated,
flavors.
yes. And so the other cocktail called the Bijou, I hate this cocktail book. I hate this cocktail book. I love this cocktail book. The old Waldorf Bar Days cocktail book has incredible stories in it about the cocktails and the characters that hung out in the bar. The recipes themselves are horrible. They're written horrible. They're inconsistent in their instructions and their methodologies and completely inconsistent. But the story it tells about the Bijou is that it's named for the theater on Broadway. And the Bijou is also that the Bijou is a French word for jewel, which ties it back to this other cocktail called the Yellow Diamond, in that it looks like a jewel. And using a different color of Chartreuse brings a different flavor, brings a different alcohol content, but also would change the color somewhat.
Gotta be gentle.
Here we
Why
go.
not try the other one?
And so all of these cocktails, I think, are tied together in some way, but, they're different.
I don't know that one benefited in any way from the bitters.
It did not benefit from the bitters.
Did not benefit. It's still not bad, but I think it was better.
It was better without the bitters. Okay, so do you like a Bijou cocktail? What gin do you use? Do you use a London Dry gin? Do you use an Old Tom gin? Do you use a Plymouth gin? Do you use a Genever? And then which brand of those gins do you use to make your Bijou?
So many choices.
Because every one of them would be different. I think you've only got 2 choices for Chartreuse, both made by the same monks. Complicated one. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.